言うことは一つだけ。絶対負けねえ。俺はこれで対応する。直角ディフェンス。
How's it going, everyone? There's Nothing Excess with a new player analysis. Got here the Dream Collection and also the Mini Dream Collection. Because I've already covered most of the characters in the Mini Dream Collection, and frankly, I don't think you really needed to pull any of them unless you were desperate for Robson, and I already covered him, so if you already knew about Robson, then you already knew to pull. For everybody else, though, we've got this right here, which is Salvatore Gentile, Matsuyama, Kluivert, and Victorino. So we're going to talk about these 4 characters and whether you should pull on this banner or not. So let's just go straight into it, starting with Gentile, the Italian football's hope. He's a defender. His role is a defender, has defense. He's a debuffer and also a counter character. I rate him an S, and you should go for broke for him if he is something that you would want. A little amused by the general reaction to this Gentile, though, because most people think he sucks. I think most of you people who think he sucks are bad. I'm sorry. I'm just going to straight out say it. Most people don't seem to think that the fact that he's a defender that self-buffs himself to 10k in 2 different categories is good. And also he hard counters Blue Japan, which is a problem that a lot of red players are running into right now, is that Blue Japan is taking their money. So this character is a very, 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 very good counter for that, especially if you're in red Europe. Every small thing this character more or less adds up to being a very competent defender overall. He's easy to write him off at first because passive is easy to get around because it's penalty area master. And most people like to run offside strategies. But right now with the Mueller, you're actually kind of encouraged to run something more like going into defense mode and juggling your defenders so that they kind of are at the very fringes of the penalty box, so that you get a matchup where you're in the penalty box but the attacker is right outside of it or right at the edge. Anyway, he makes life difficult for people in the box, and he's pretty good at tackling, and he'll still tackle most players outside of the box even if he's not getting the full effect of his passive. And he also makes the rest of your defensive line quite stronger, so he's actually quite strong in 4 defender lines. For his pros, he hard counters Japanese players, but mostly Blue Japan, and he also counters Blue. After his hidden abilities, he is a 10k club tackler. He's part of the 10k club in tackling and blocking. He's okay enough at passing. You might save yourself from getting embarrassed in a matchup if you have and level up a dandy pass. And he has decent skill support. For his cons, well, his passive does limit him a little outside of the area that he's in. He's not crazy, and also he kind of competes with a spot with a stand firm version, and if you have ever heard me talk about stand firm, you know how I feel about how good that passive is. For his limit break, I think it's very simple. Just tackle speed, block power 25. You don't really have to go anywhere else with that. You could ostensibly do like 22-3 block power and then 22-3 pass technique if you really wanted to work on his pass, but for the most part you should have a defender that can get the ball out if very much needed to. For his stats, he's got my team all stats plus 2%. That is all defenders on your team get 2% more bonus stats with him on the team. Very good for Red Europe, probably not quite as good in Rainbow Europe, where the Blue Gentile is probably still more useful. Auto intercept enhance A. Green teams know about this because both Xiao and Brian have that. But they don't stack, apparently. You don't get like 6%, or you don't get 2 attempts at it, right? Like, it's not like it rolls separately. There's like a universal roll for all of the auto intercept enhance passives, and if one of them activates, all of them activate, which means that no matter how many of these you have on your team, only one of them fires. Or really, it doesn't matter how many you have, like, it will always be max 3%. So it's still a nice annoyance for opponents' white passes, and when it fires, it'll be great. It might save you. But it's not that crazy. It is still like an A because it's nicer to have than not to have. And it will occasionally turn a game in your favor, but it's not something you need to rely on. Physical minus 20%. Basically, in a matchup with this Gentile, an opponent Japanese player might have 20% less physical stats. That's really strong. If you don't know how strong it is, go fight like Green Xiao, Green hidden ability Xiao, so you can find out how dumb it is. It's really, really crazy. And then for the last ones, it's 2 opponent stats minus 2%. So one of them is for agility type players, and the other one's for Japanese type players. They're matchup independent and always active, and that makes them monstrously good when put together against Blue Japan. and it's also just mostly good against other blue or just Japanese teams. And so he is very desirable as a counter pick for Japan or for blue teams, and that does help red a little bit in those matchups. So you might want to run him maybe if you expect to see him. You might want to put him on the bench maybe also. If you're not running red Europe, maybe you're running red Japan, but you run into a blue Japanese team, he still might have space to like come in and help counter the blue Japanese team a little bit for you. For his stats, 1033 stamina, quite good. As you can see, he has like no shot. He has like 3.7k shot. And what his stats come out to is 7.7k dribble and pass, and then 9.9k tackle, 9.8k block, and 9.2k intercept. Quite good in all three categories, but really it's after the buffs where he's actually kind of spooky, because the 2% does bump him right over the edge in both cases. For his skill build, right angle defense is what it comes with. You can't really do anything with it, but he also comes with S Dandy interception. You might as well keep it. If you have a dupe new star block, you could give it to him. You can also give him Dandy block if you want, but I wouldn't. It's not a very good block. You might as well just give him like the B block and max that out if you don't have new star block. And then Dandy pass, he comes with that, so keep that there. And then A power tackle. Just give him the A power tackle because we all know that you have one leveled up to 80. We all do. We all have one just kind of like sitting in our back pockets waiting for a character to give it to. Now, if you're willing to invest in 3 separate defensive skills, you could give him a power dribble, and then, like, that way if someone is, like, trying to match up with you, you might have another option on offense. But just don't do that, dude. Just give him power tackle. Quit playing, bro. Next up, we got Hikaru Matsuyama, the pillar of Japanese defense. He's an easy character to talk about. He's a defensive midfielder and a defender. His role is defense. I rate him an S. And should you go for broke for him? If you're red Japan, very much yes. If you're red, yes. If you're Japan, yes. He's like the best version of Matsuyama. This guy's got one job, and it's to tackle the living hell out of any forward or attacking midfielder he runs into. He has base 11.7k tackle and a passive that makes him 50% stronger against forwards and AMs, and that makes him very, very good at his job. If you fully limit break him, his base tackle reaches 15,222 against those two positions, and his main tackle is a 490 cap tackle. There's really not much else to say about him. He more or less passes the ball okay, and he's okay at intercepting. So sometimes you can do that, but for the most part, you're trying to tackle literally everything a forward or AM does on the field. You're going to tackle shots, you're going to tackle passes, you're going to tackle dribbles, you're going to tackle life itself. Matsuyama finds a way. Pros, tackling. Also, sometimes he passes and intercepts. Cons, he literally does nothing else, but he doesn't need to. Limit break, if you haven't been paying attention, tackle 25, speed 25. Give him 17, 17, 16 pass intercept technique, so that way you have a way to get rid of the ball. And also you can cut passes sometimes, because sometimes you're actually going to use a pass cut, because they're going to think, oh, there's no way I'm dribbling against this idiot. I'm just going to pass the ball. And you're going to be like, well, eagle intercept, what now? And you'll find that that's actually a good idea sometimes, especially against some characters. Like Green Misaki's just going to try to overwhelm you with a pass. You might as well throw that at him. Stamina, 1064, pretty good. His stats, as you can see, not much to speak of except for tackle, which is base 8.7k, which is wildin'. Does result in 7.0 dribble, 7.7 shot, both of these things suck, but 8.4 pass, 8.4 intercept, and 11.7 tackle, which is just, it's crazy. For his skill build, he comes with a S tackle, which is S spirited valiant defense. He comes with A eagle intercept and A eagle pass. You will keep all 3 of those. Give him A smooth ball keeping as like the threat. You're not actually going to use it. And then A eagle tackle. If you have a maxed out A eagle tackle, you can use it for stamina reasons and also until you level up the S tackle more. Everything else you give him or that he knows is ancillary. It's just there to remind them that they can't really just try to pass around you, because you can deal with that. Anyway, you're just going to try to tackle literally everything that anyone ever does. So just remember, tackle, tackle, and then tackle again. Next up, we've got Brian Kluivert, the total football attacking midfielder. He is an attacking midfielder. His roles are striker and long shooter. And I'll explain why, because he doesn't come with a long shot. I rate him an A, but I would not go for broke for him. I rate him an A just because he kind of was reinvented as a long shooter, and I'll explain why. Because right now, actually, when he released, he was definitely not able to be a long shooter. On release, this guy's shot was so high and his stats were so wild that the biggest whales were just running all of Netherlands together and just crushing players. Like, ask Silverdona, if you ever have a chance, what it was like when he had all of Netherlands out on the field with all the Netherlands buffs. It was actually, he was at like 40% or whatever buff before that was even a thing. you couldn't do anything about that team for a whole month in global, but in Japan, it was like the strongest thing in the meta for a while. Nowadays, Brian's just okay so long as you can give him some A skills and a better shot, like the Red Brian 3 blow away long distance shot, and that's the one that makes him into a long shooter now. Problem is that you're stuck with the S spinning volley, and that sucks because he's a unit that has Insight Master, and he kind of needs that to be able to do literally anything else other than shoot. Seriously though, just give him break shot because he's still scary with that because his base stat for shooting is very high, and that does make him quite useful. Pros, he's one of the strongest unbuffed no restriction shooters in the game. With he's probably I think he's third in the charts with 12.1k shooting. He has 8.3k pass, which is okay, and Insight Master 30% tries to shore up literally the rest. Cons is that he's bad at everything else. Insight Master isn't very good if there's not much to work with. All the skill support he needs is either not strong like a technical pass, or it's hidden away in other SSRs. Also, he is wildly slow. He's like slow. He has 3.6k speed, which is like the most lead-footed character I can think of. He's like up there with Izawa in terms of slow as dirt. For his limit break, shot, power, pass, technique 25. I wouldn't really worry about literally anything else. You're only gonna pass sometimes. Most of the time, you're gonna give him the ball somewhere in the attacking midfield position, and you're gonna let rip a break shot because that's his job. His job is to just harass the goalkeeper. Stamina 982, which gives him a couple break shots, and his base shot is 9020, which is crazy good. His low balls and his high balls are both 0. His in-match stats, he's got 12.1k shot, 8.3k pass, and literally everything else is irrelevant. He can't tussle for the ball though on offense, 9.7k, because his shot's so high it does allow that. But as you can see, because his speed is 3.6k, his dribble winds up only being 6.8 and his tackle just 6.4, which are abysmal for an SSR unit, even ones that aren't meant to do those things. Skill build, S spinning volley, not a good shot, and you can't get rid of it. S break shot, strictly better, it has more utility. Give him a spiral turn instead of a Kruth turn, simply because if you do want to try to dribble sometimes because of Insight Master, Kruth turn isn't good enough for it. A technical pass and a swift interception. Unfortunately, he's not fast enough to be a concern on defense, so just go all in on his offense. Unfortunately, there's not enough things you can do on offense other than pass, so you have spiral turn mostly for show. You should give it to him anyway in case you want to like mix people up because Kruth turn isn't as good. You can give him sonic pass instead of technical pass if you're just swimming in dupes of Brian's. You can also give him S swift interception if you don't want to be complete dead weight in matchups on defense, but blah. If he didn't have break shot, that means he wouldn't be a long shot unit, and I would rank him B or worse. Because, like, man, it's just, he can't do anything other than shoot. Back in the day, that was good enough to carry a team, but now it's just, he's really falling off. Like, he is third place in shooting for show. It's not like Roberto Carlos, who could just run all the way up the field if he wanted to because he's so crazy fast. And also his tackling is insane, and it's then supplemented by his insanely powerful shot. He just literally does nothing. This is why the green Hyuga that just came out is good, right? Because it's hard as hell to block his shot because it's 25% block killer. And on top of that, it's a 500 shot for like 500 stamina that blows away 5 people. So like it's going to get to the goalkeeper almost certainly. Like that's the kind of thing that is designed just to shoot from wherever, but can also do it. And this character is not quite as good as that. But, you know, still usable. Finally, we've got Ramon Victorino, the Black Gale. He is a forward. He's more of an enabler and a utility forward than anything else. I rate him a B. I would not go for Probe for him. And let's explain this character. He's a weird experimental unit from earlier in the game. He's still surprisingly useful for like 2 major reasons. First off, even though he's not very good at pass cutting at all, he closes the distance so fast against defenders, and those guys aren't very good at passing, that it can still provoke some mistakes. Some people are just going to dump the ball in urgency because they really don't want to get to a matchup with Victorino because he can still tackle the ball out of them with a high enough level tackle. Second off, if you do give him the ball, he can easily dribble all the way forward and run to beat an offside trap to set up the other forwards. He's got a distinct role as a character meant to beat defenses via dribbling and speeding away, and is limited otherwise. If he was better at passing, he would actually be really, really good. So for pros, he's the best raw dribbler in the game at 12.1k, and he has 8.2k tackling, which is pretty decent. For cons, he's awful at everything else. 7k shot's not good, and the third best thing he's got is 7.5k pass, and that's kind of depressing. It needs a lot of investment just to be acceptable. You have to teach him a pass, and the only one he learns is strong pass A, which is not great. And also, like, even limit broken, you're only really gonna get it to push like 8.5, 8.7, unless you limit break fully on pass, which is not a good idea. For the limit break, actually, I would do 25 to dribble tackle speed, and then 22-3 pass technique. Stamina is 957, which is pretty decent. Even for an old character, 957 is not bad. It's not 1,000, but it's not bad. 12,114 dribble is basically the result of 8.3k dribble and 7.5k speed, which is wild. The next best thing he's at is tackling, 8.2k, and then everything else he does sucks. Tackle is actually carried almost entirely by how fast he is, because his tackle stat is actually, the base tackle stat sucks. It's just that he's so otherwise good in like his speed. They should have just nerfed his shot a bunch, and his block a bunch, and his power a bunch, and they should have given him a little bit more pass, and then also given him a bunch of tackle, and then he'd actually be kind of crazy scary. For his skill build, S and A Panther dribble, you would probably have an A80 Panther dribble if you've been playing since the beginning, but if not, it's just an easier skill to level up. A strong pass because you don't have a choice. A Uruguayan golden duo if you could find it and give it to him, but otherwise you can leave that slot empty. And A high speed tackle or B high speed tackle depending on what you can give him. Just do the best with what you have. The pass sucks, but you're going to need it sometimes to set your forwards or other players up. For the most part, you're just going to try to dribble your way through everything. And that's really what you should be doing. Anyways, guys, that's the 4 characters for the spanner. Thank you very much for checking this video out. If you enjoyed what you heard, please let me know by clicking like. And if you enjoyed the channel and you want to see more like this, just click subscribe and go to the little bell and click on that so you can get announcements whenever I upload a new video or start streaming or anything like that. Additionally, if if you want to support me right now, if you want to support the channel, you can become a part of my Patreon. You can become a patron. It's in the link in the description. You can check that out. I give right now, if you're subbed at the $10 tier or higher, that's $10 a month. You get PDFs of every one of these things that I make. That way you can always have it as a reference. You get them earlier too, because as soon as I'm done, you kind of get the beta. Sometimes there's errors and I catch them when I'm going through the video. But you do get them early, and that way you get like the general idea of how I feel about the character, and that should help you a lot if you're trying to get stuff. Also, if you're part of the Patreon, you get access to a Discord, which lets you just ask me any questions that you want about the game, anything you want, anything you have, like I don't know, basically Team Doctor but on demand. And some people value that a lot. If you value that, think about tossing me a couple bucks. To get Team Doctor whenever you want, it's just $5 a month. You don't have to do anything more than that. And then you get an invitation to the private Discord, and you can come over, talk some trash, and have a good time. Anyways, thanks a lot. Thank you to my current patrons, actually. I'm going to shout them out now. So thank you very much to Mohammed Al-Husseini at the $1 tier. Thanks very much, man, for your support. We have here at the $5 tier, Puria Pote. Thank you very much for your support. And here in the $10 plus tier, we have Jorge Arce. Thank you very much, dude. And Gabe Lee. Thank you very much. And if you want to get shouted out in the video, you can also just, all you gotta do, $1 a month, you get shoutouts. Thank you very much, guys, for everything, and I hope to see you all soon.